The Royal National Institute of Blind People has said that rental transport options like these are making streets an absolute nightmare, with only 1 in 10 blind people now feeling confident to walk in their own neighbourhood because the bikes and the scooters are so often dumped in the way, blocking pavements or roads. They're calling for urgent action to better regulate rental e-scooter and e-bike schemes. If you don't like them at all, then do get in touch. If you love them and you think they're a fantastic way of keeping fit, then let us know. Let's go to Lewis, who is most definitely not a fan.
I think we should ban them today, preferably before the end of the show.
Why?
They're so dangerous, and I know that I've got young kids, so my kids are at the age where they can scooter now, so that they're a few feet in front, and they're okay with it. But then these things come so fast, and they haven't decided whether are they a vehicle or are they pedestrians, because they're weaving off the pavement onto the pavement into the road. And my kids can't react fast enough. And it's like, this shouldn't be so stressful to take my kids down the street. Or even, we live in sort of West London, so we go along the Thames a lot, where there's not supposed to be any traffic. Still, I'm on edge because they're whizzing past. And if my kids veer off, and then there's the times where they're strewn about the pavements, and my kids are, I'll just go around it and, straight into the road in front of a bus. It's terrifying. And I remember when my other half was pregnant, and, it was almost like the zebra crossings were optional for them. I remember one missed my pregnant fiancé by about, a couple of inches. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be the way things are going. You have no way to track them. If this were a car and they thought, the red light is optional, we could track them down, we could find them, we could say you're not driving anymore, that's it. These, you just pick them up. And I know that, you could probably say, we could trace them because you've got to pay for them. But a lot of them are just broken now. You just sort of push them along and they're not paying for them. And they've just become a menace. They're ending up in the rivers.
Yeah.
And to be honest, get a bike. What do you mean? This isn't even actually getting anyone fit.
I really appreciate this, and I think what's so interesting is that you're talking about them as a danger to very young people, little children. We often hear about them as a danger to far older people, plus blind people, disabled people and everything else. Lowri, I don't know how you feel about it.
I think it's generational, because I've got kids who do use them, and none of my kids seem to want to drive. They live in a city, so they don't need to drive, and so it allows, and they can't afford Uber, so it allows them to get places. So I can see the plus point. Like you, though, I had them collecting outside my house. One day there was 2, then there was 4, and I did. You can actually phone the company.
Oh, can you?
And you send them a photograph and say they are causing a hazard, and they did come and remove them. And I thought, yes, I have done it. I was amazed, but you can do it. I think the problem is that we have the technology where they can geolocate, and they've now taken where I live. They've taken and yet more parking out and created a little kind of fenced area, which is where they're supposed to be docked. There is never any bike in the docking area ever. They are just scattered. Now, I don't understand why that geolocation isn't working better, and then everybody gets fined for not parking their bike. The real problem I have with them is I think they are a good solution for young people, but they contribute to this idea that we are kind of lawless.
Yes, a kind of carelessness.
Look at our city.
Just dump it wherever you find it.
You can dump the bike, then you can nick somebody's phone, then you can throw that litter down. It's part of the kind of deterioration how our cities feel.
Let's bring Nicola in. What do you think? You've got 2 young boys.
Yeah, I've said before on this programme, I don't let my kids ride bikes. So,
At all,
ever. No. Because I am, bizarrely, even though I so don't look like it, I risk assess everything to do with the kids. I do loads of things I shouldn't myself, but with the children, I'm just really, really overprotective. So
you're worried about the traffic? Is that what it is? Or?
I just would. I wouldn't let them ride the bikes, you know. I would totally not let them.
In case they fell off? Or
or hit by a bike, or just, I would just worry.
They'll be able to do it themselves.
Yeah, but they just, luckily, they kind of listen to me. 19 he is, and he's still, he kind of, so far so good. But I don't think we should just be banning them, because you can see that they could be good, but I think that we definitely need to get a system where they're regulated. As you said, if I go for a red light in the car, which I wouldn't, but if I did, you can track me down. We need to, if you're on the road, you need to be adhering to rules. You shouldn't.
And on the road is one thing, but on the pavement, I've never been so scared as I am now of these bikes, especially the E-ones on the pavement. I'm just scared of them because they seem to come out of nowhere. You can't hear them. And you're just, you're walking along. I try never to walk along looking at my phone. Partly I don't want my phone to be stolen, but I most particularly don't want to be knocked over by one of these damn bikes. And I really don't. They're really dangerous and they go so fast. You see them overtaking the cars that are going at 20 miles an hour every day, all the time. Let's talk to Nicholas in Gloucestershire. Nicholas, what do you think about this?
Hi. Hi to the panel. Basically, I think that they have a benefit for tourism. For instance, if you go to Brighton Pier or Blackpool Front, it's a long walk all the way up there.
True.
If I'm on foot, I'm probably going to see a quarter of that. So my spending is going to be a quarter of what potentially it could be. But my mental health, some days, I get aches and pains working in care. Some days I do need that, ability to just scoot off down the road. But I would also say that I do feel that there should be a safety aspect. The scooter that I had a little plate on the back where I could have printed a little number plate or got one issued to me so that I'm liable for anything. I don't think scooters should be allowed on the pavement.
Well, they're not.
Like Jeremy
they're not allowed on the pavement, but it doesn't seem to stop anyone, does it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So Nicholas, you do use them, but you do feel there should be more sort of checks and balances, something brought in to make sure effectively that we know who's on them, and if they're abusing the privilege, that at least we can catch them. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Let's go to Sean. Sean's in London. Sean, what do you think? I don't know which part of London you're in or how often you encounter these e-bikes and e-scooters.
Yes, well, first of all, congratulations on your show, Vanessa. Well deserved, long overdue.
Very charming and delightful of you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
And welcome, panel. I want to talk about not just the safety of e-scooters and how you ride them, but how they are produced, because lots of young people are just buying them from uncertified sources. And we've seen that in London, in the last 2 years, there's been 179 cases of fatalities because these scooters have backfired because of poor production with their with charging ports. And I can see the benefits from them as well. In Lanzarote, they're full of them in Spain because they're easy to get about with. And I remember riding one right down this long road, and my friend rode one as well, but it just backfired on her and she had a very bad accident. Luckily, in that country, all of the people come running around to you and help you, but I don't think that would be the case in London.
OK, well, what would you do to stop the dangerous element of all of this then, Sean? Because you seem very well informed about this.
Well, I would inform young people to buy these e-scooters from certified sources and use them responsibly. But I know it's easier said than done, but I just think the people that make these e-scooters need to put some sort of legislation across and say, listen, if you're going to buy these scooters, buy them from the right sources in the right way.
But they are illegal.
Yes, you're not allowed to use the bought ones. You're only allowed to use the rented ones. So it doesn't matter where you're buying. You're not supposed to be buying them in the first place.
Nobody should be allowed to sell them, and they should be confiscated if you're riding them.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? So Lewis, I mean, your irritation, your fear, your anger at the whole thing, I think it seems to be felt by very many people, doesn't it?
I think so. But this thing, I don't understand why we have them. Why will the councils not listen to them? We don't want them. And if there are some benefits to them, but the dangers for me. I mean, if someone hits my kids on one of them, I don't know what I'm going to do. I probably have to go to jail for murder. And you just think these little children and blind people and elder people walking around. If you're hit with one of those, you are going to A&E if you're lucky.
Yeah.
What's amazing is there's a war on pavement parking at the moment, and the argument used by local councils is it's really dangerous and blah, but people can't get on the pavement. And yet they don't mind about bikes and scooters scattered over every pavement because it's good for the planet.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Paul. He's on the line in Northamptonshire. Paul, OK, so Paul was nearly hit by someone on an e-bike. Paul, sorry to hear that. Hello, thanks for calling. What happened?
Hello, Vanessa.
Hi.
Well, yes, I'm 75 years old, by the way, and I was putting my dustbins out the other week, and I seen a bike, electric. Well, I knew it was an electric bike by the speed he was going. I actually stepped out of the way, and he sped by me, and I was out of his way, and he as he went by me, get off the expletive pathway. I couldn't believe my ears.
Oh my
gosh! He was telling me to get off the pathway, and I I immediately shouted back at him, "You shouldn't even be on the path, it's illegal." At that, he slammed his bike down on the ground, started walking to me aggressively. "What did you say?" And keeping in mind, this guy was probably 25, 30 years old. And if it wasn't for my son stepping out from behind the edge, I'm sure he'd have come up and set about me. You know, they've got to be made illegal on the pathways. I've got no problem with them being on the road, but on the pathways, they are such a menace. It's unbelievable.
Just can't believe that. He's outside his own house, putting his own rubbish out in a place he's absolutely entitled to be, and nearly gets stuffed up by some horrible e-scooter stranger. That's
It's
not
very
good.
funny how they shout at you. After I was last on this show, I was on the Strand in London. Green man, walk across. This guy comes on his bike, out of note, so fast, and shouted at me, saying, "What are you doing?" And you know where someone shouts at you, you think, "Well, what am I doing?" "Oh, no, wait, it is green." And then he's gone, and it was too late to be like, "Oh," but that's what's going on. They think that they own the roads and the pavement.
And they don't. And it's already illegal.
But
That's
then
the whole thing.
I see young men on normal bikes on the pavement, and I think that, again, it's become regarded as, you can do it, you know, because it's too much traffic on the main road, so I'll just nip onto the pavement for one. You have adults, and you've got an adult cycling, and they've got a child behind them. You think, are children allowed on pavements? How old is the child? All of which they are for people walking, aren't they?
I bet we'll talk about this many, many times. Thank you, Paul, so much. Glad you're all right. Glad the sun was hiding behind the rhododendron bush and could spring out and frighten that absolute beep. Good.